You may have noticed that in this Easter season, we've been reading from St. John, either his Gospels and his letters. And you might know that we read from the Gospels on a 3-year cycle. That means 1 year we read Matthew, 1 year we read Mark, the next one Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke. At 37 years a priest, I've been through it, 12 cycles of the 3. One of the questions is, well, what about the 4th gospel, John's? Why isn't it a 4-year cycle? Why not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Bless this bed that I lay on. Anybody remember that little prayer at night? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Bless this bed that I lay on. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. That's what my mama taught me. Probably daddy too. Anyway, there's 4 gospels. Well, why is it we have a 3-year cycle? Well, Matthew, Mark, and Luke share many of the same storyline and themes. John has a little different perspective. If you notice, the symbols for the Gospels are Mark is a lion. There's a lion in that picture there with wings on it. That's St. Mark. You know that's St. Mark there because of the lion. The lion is Mark. The ox is Luke. The angel is Matthew. And John is the eagle. The eagle. If you see those symbols, in fact, I think it's, right on the book. The ox, Luke, the angel, Matthew, the lion, Mark, the eagle, John. And the reason I think they picked that symbol for John is because he has the 30,000 feet view. He is written last. He has a reflection that kind of soars above the 60,000 foot perspective or whatever. So the church wants us to listen, to hear his witness every year at certain times, like Easter. So we get those other gospels every 3 years, but John interspersed. Now, some of you already know that, some of you may not, but isn't it interesting how the church has reflected on how do we relate to the risen Christ through the scriptures? And they've chosen this way. So what should we notice about what John has to tell us about the risen Lord? Well, remember doubting Thomas? He told us about doubting Thomas. He told us we are children of God. He told us that he's the good shepherd, our good shepherd. Today he tells us that he is the vine, we are the branches. Beautiful images, aren't those? Those are really good messages for us to nurture and to relate to and to try to call upon in our journey with the risen Christ. So, vine and branches. What should we learn or think about the branches on the vine? You are the branches, we are the branches, he is the vine. The Father is the vine grower. All right? So, the first thing, cling to the vine. What happens to a branch disconnected from the vine? Dries up, doesn't it? Doesn't bear good fruit, it dies. So cling to the vine. Coming here today, we're clinging to the vine. We are receiving him in this sacrament. He is nourishing us. So cling to the vine, stay close to the vine. The second is bear good fruit. Now, how are we going to bear good fruit? Well, we need to do some stuff, but we also need to be prepared for pruning. Anybody here grow grapes? Anybody here have a grapevine? Anybody? Well, then y'all don't know what he's talking about, right? Well, no. We didn't have a grapevine either. I know this. If you don't top tobacco, all that energy of the plant goes up into the seed, and it doesn't produce a good crop. It doesn't produce as much. You top it, you prune it, and that little leaf at the top grows. In 3 weeks, it'll grow to be that long and that wide. And you got a good leaf of tobacco at the top. That's what happens if you prune it. If you don't, those leaves stay small. A grapevine, we know, because we did have some others that had some, and they said, well, if you don't prune it, it doesn't produce very many grapes. They're small grapes. The energy goes into the branch, but not the fruit. But if you prune it, that energy is concentrated into bearing fruit. So what about us? What do we need to cut out? What do we need to let the Lord prune back? Sometimes we need to, to cut back. Cut back on the distractions. Oh, what about sour grapes? Anybody got sour grapes on the branch today? Don't admit to it, just think about it. Does that need to be cut out? We need to ask the Lord, take away my bitterness, my negativity. I don't know what you need. I don't know what y'all need. I'm thinking about me. What do I need to cut out? What do I need to cut back? What do I need to produce? We are the branches. He is the vine. We are the branches. He wants us to cling to him, to be nurtured by him. And he wants us to produce good fruit. And sometimes that's going to mean we need to see what needs to be pruned so that we can bring forth the harvest that God desires us to be a part of. To nurture our faith, let us renew our